Welcome back to the Voice of Resistance. Coming up, a clip from a lawmaker in Iowa that you aren't going to believe. This man has got to be insane, and he's in deep trouble right now, I promise you that. And a proposed piece of legislation from the legislature in Wyoming that tells Obama where he can put any law he wants to try and pass. All right, let's look at some possible scenarios. Obama could try and push something through the legislative process. It's not going to happen. There's just too many pro-Second Amendment members of the U.S. House of Representatives to do any meaningful theft, to commit any meaningful theft of our Second Amendment rights. He could look to the courts, but recently the courts have had two pretty significant gun rulings in favor of the Second Amendment. So that's unlikely unless one of the more conservative members dies or resigns and Obama gets to put someone else in there. But that's not the scenario that's on the table right now. So he's got the executive order. What is his executive order going to say, and what will be the repercussions? He could say, we're going to ban the importation of all foreign guns and accessories. That is highly likely and probably will be met with very little outcry. Most gun manufacturers, at least a lot of them, have facilities where they manufacture guns both in America and overseas. So that would be a little bit of window dressing. I still think that it needs to be loudly denounced. But the scenarios where real danger would be is if he were to try and say ban the sale of anything with a bore larger than a .22. He probably is going to ban certain size clips. If he were to demand a general registration of all guns, or God forbid, like they did in Australia, try and actually confiscate guns. The further down the gun control line Obama goes with his executive order, which, by the way, would only last possibly for his term, because if a Republican took it and promised that he was going to revoke that order, then it would be temporary. But nevertheless, if Obama goes down a path of gun registration, long waiting periods, filling out paperwork while you have to explain why you want a certain gun, it could be the death knell of the republic. You would start to see states talk about secession from the Union, but more fearfully, what they'll do is they'll pick on one or two easy targets, like they did with David Koresh or at Ruby Ridge, and hope that it scares the heck out of everyone else. But there will be backlash. There will be Second Amendment people in some of the Midwest states, or perhaps Wyoming or Idaho, perhaps Texas, that will shoot, they will assassinate certain public officials. Who? I don't know. But I'm making the prediction it's going to happen because there are people who won't tolerate it. And they're going to do it to send a message to the government. The death of a Supreme Court justice could allow Obama to pull off something horrific depending on who he puts on the bench. But I'm telling you this, friend, if they really do make a move on our Second Amendment rights, there will be hell to pay. And something else that they want to do right now is this. They want to flush out who their real resistance is, okay? You've got Alex Jones as the poster boy that the left wants to use. You've got thoughtful people like Larry Pratt, myself and others. You've got the NRA, who can't figure out that the Second Amendment isn't just for hunting and for self-defense, it's to stand up against tyranny in our government, all right? They're inching towards that position, but way too slowly. But the government wants to see who the real opposition is. And so what I say is this, tell them now. Let them flush us out now. We need to stand up now and say, if you demand that we do a background check on every single person purchasing a gun right now, the answer is no. We won't comply. Go to hell. We won't comply because a gun background check for every single person, your neighbor, your brother, your father, all that is a backdoor to gun registration. Because then they know who has the guns. That's the point of gun registration, to know who's got them and what they bought. So a demand that every single person have a background check is simply the backdoor to gun registration. And friend, that is going to produce a violent backlash. That's my prediction. I'm sticking to it. When we come back, We'll play the soundbite of an insane Iowa lawmaker and the heroic legislation being proposed in the state of Wyoming. Don't go away.